What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't always watched my channel, you might be new to this type of video. Early in the year, I was doing a series called CoAngler Diary. And I'm here to finish off the series. There's going to be this tournament and one more tournament to wrap things all up. So if you haven't and you'd like to, be sure to check out the description below where I'll put a link to all those videos in a table of contents in the description below. Basically, this year in 2023, in order to try to save a little bit of money fishing wise, I decided to fish CoAngler, try to win a bunch of money, put that money aside so that I can maybe fish some bigger tournaments next year, as well as just save money as far as gas and stuff like that. In that CoAngler Diary series, we talked about how to pack a bag, organize the fish on the water, CoAngler etiquette, how to do research. Well, in this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to be extremely efficient on the water. If you know me personally or have been following this channel and following CoAngler Diary, you see that I'm from Pennsylvania and I travel down to the North Carolina, Virginia area quite often to go fishing as a co-angler. And some people might say, well, why do you travel 7.5 hours to go to Lake Norman or High Rock Lake when you can travel just as far and go to Champlain or 1,000 Islands? Yes, there is a reason why I prefer to go south rather than go north as far as fishing as a co-angler. And the reason is the fishing is tougher down south. Up north, there's a lot of fish. They're not nearly educated. They're a lot easier to get to bite. So really, when it comes to fishing co-angler, I feel that anybody up north has a chance to win because so many co-anglers will have limits. So, you know, what's the separation between me and the guy right beside me that both weigh limits? Well, usually it's a little bit of luck. Who is around the bigger fish? Now, usually the better fisherman will catch more fish, which will give you a better chance of getting some big ones. But honestly, when it comes to fishing, if you're as a co-angler, if you can get a limit and the guy next to you gets a limit, I mean, you did your job. That's really all you can do. So when you go down south, limits are much harder to obtain. That's where you see skill rise. You know, not every single guy out there is catching a limit, but it's really hard to catch a limit down south out of the back of the boat. So that's where you see better fishermen, better co-anglers rise to the top. So that's honestly why I prefer to go down south to fish as a co-angler. But will that stop me from going up north? Absolutely not. One of my favorite lakes to go to is Cayuga, where I actually wrapped up a tournament where I got third place in the BFL back in July. At the time, I didn't have a pickup truck, so I decided to jump into that BFL and see how I could do. I have a lot of history on Cayuga, and we'll jump into some of that, but just because you're going up north or you fish a really good fishery doesn't mean that you can't win as a co-angler. You just have to put that luck factor I was talking about into your favor. How do you put the luck on your side? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And that is how to be efficient as a co-angler. And there's a lot of little things you can do throughout the day to maximize efficiency. That's what it's all about. Some of these tips might not apply to everybody. What I mean by that is, I get it, some of these tips are going to be kind of hard to do, and I get if you don't want to do it if you don't have the ability to do it. The first one we're going to get into is life jacket. If you trust the auto-inflate life jackets over the traditional style, I suggest you go with the auto-inflate and get used to wearing them all day. By not taking a life jacket off, but instead, you know, when the boater comes off pad, you can grab a rod and make a cast. You're already a step ahead of your competition. I don't ever take off my life jacket. I trust the auto inflates to work as they're supposed to. If you don't trust them and you have to wear the old school life jacket, this tip's not going to apply to you, but wear your life jacket and keep it on because you're going to be able to make a cast that much quicker by just keeping it on. You know, you stop the boat, grab a rod, make a cast. You never have to remove the life jacket. And on the flip side of that, when the boater pulls up the trolling motor, he never has to wait for you to put your life jacket on. You already have it on. You already can actually probably make another cast. And I always tell my boaters, hey, don't wait for me. I'll reel in once you have the motor going. I'm safe, I'm legal, I'm buttoned, my life jacket's on. I can keep my bait in the water for as long as possible by just wearing my life jacket. So here's an example of, it's actually a video of me being an insufficient co-angler. You can see I'm the co-angler that's on his phone. My rods are probably all tangled up, which we'll get into here in a second about organization. Messing around with my phone, BSing with the boater. There are so many co-anglers that, you know, if you're fishing co-angler, that you have to compete with. Yeah, see, my rods are all tangled up. I have to put my phone away because I was playing on it. Um, you know, I take time to take my life jacket off. There are so many co-anglers that you can beat just by being more efficient than them. Now I'm finally able to make a cast after about 40 seconds when I could have been fishing the entire time. So on the flip side, this is how I tend to try to be as a co-angler when I am fishing an important tournament. You can see how efficient I am. I wait until my boater turns his key, and I'm already making a cast before he's even up out of the seat. So we talked about the easiest thing you can do to be a little bit more efficient on the water as a co-angler. Another thing is being mindful of time wasted. One of these things that I tend to do, and I see a lot of guys struggle with, is trying a bunch of different things all at once. If you did your research and you knew how to pack and you have a little bit of a game plan, you really shouldn't be trying a bunch of different baits. Let's say you're on a new body of water and you know that they should be eating a shaky. One tip to do is grab 2 or 3 different worms, different colors, put them on the deck of the boat, throw them in your pocket. That way, if you want to change colors, it's really quick. When it comes to switching baits and actually having to cut off, one of my biggest tips I can give somebody why I maximize my efficiency, and I have a lot of boaters say, I've never seen anybody do this before, I will actually retie on the run. Let's say I'm at Lake Norman and I have a pop-R tied on. I'm catching some fish throwing a shaky head. I established that there is a shaky head bite, but I really want to be throwing a top water, but I cannot get a blow up on a pop-R. And my mind starts thinking, well, maybe I need to be throwing a whopper plopper or a spook or something like that. Instead of quit fishing and tying it on, what I would do is just keep throwing the shaky head. That way, I'm maximizing my efficiency. My bait is in the strike zone for as long as possible, and then when my boater pulls up the trolling and says, hey, we're gonna move up the creek a mile or 2, okay, perfect. I'm gonna grab that pop-R rod, I'm gonna cut it off while we're running, I'm gonna grab a whopper plopper, I'm gonna tie it on, I'm gonna have everything I need to either retie as soon as we stop, or I'm gonna try to retie while we're running. I get it, this is extremely hard to do. If you can practice it, do it. Because something I always do when we're running is either retying a bait that I have been using just to keep a fresh knot, switching baits. I'm trying to maximize my productivity even when we're running down the lake. I'm going to try to retie. I get it, you don't want to tie a bad knot. It's extremely hard to do, but it's something that to keep in mind about not wasting time. Another really simple thing to do when it comes to fishing co-angler, increasing your efficiency, is being organized. You know, if you're always fighting with your rods and your lines are getting tangled up with one another, you're wasting time. One simple trick on a rod, which I already have this one wrapped up. I don't know if a lot of people do this. You see guys that's been fishing a long time doing it. You got your line and you got your rod. I don't know if you can see that, but anytime your line's just like this and you have a bunch of rods, they can get tangled up together. So my suggestion is when you're done with a rod or you're moving, take the line, I don't know if you can see it's right here in my hand, and just hold it with one hand and spin the rod with the other, and then tuck the line up under a guide. That way your line's actually wrapped around the guides. It keeps everything nice and tight. That way this rod and its line won't tangle up with another rod and its line. Just cuts down on your time. You know, you don't want to be spending 30 seconds untangling rods every time you stop the boat. Another tip is be extremely organized with your tackle. We have a video where I kind of explain that the least amount of tackle you take, the better. You're gonna maximize your efficiency. One other tip is if you're buying a tackle bag, this is my big bag. I carry 2 bags, one big, one little. I try to take the little one when I can, but sometimes I really don't know what I need to take, so I have to take a lot more things, or maybe I'm going to a Cayuga where I have a chance of fishing for smallmouth down the lake or fishing grass for largemouth, where I'm really not sure what I need to take almost everything. I like these bags that have this mesh on top, to where I can put baits on top with it, they're easy access. If I think I'm going to be using them, that's where I'm going to put them. I can take the stuff out of there, put other stuff in there. That way everything's at my fingertips when I need something. For Cayuga, I've been there 6 times. I've got to check in all 6 of those tournaments. I have a win, I have a second. This particular tournament I got 3rd. We got 3rd in a team tournament couple years ago. I got a 5th in a BFL previously. So Cayuga's treated me really, really well. And every time I go, it's always the exact same thing. It's always a chatterbait, a drop shot, and some sort of flipping punching bait, and maybe a Senko. Those baits I'm going to keep right there on top. That way I know exactly where they are. They're real easy. I unzip it, I grab what I need, put it on, whether it's Zacco for a chatterbait, drop shot worm, whatever. So let's get into the Cayuga tournament, where I ended up getting 3rd place. This tournament was pretty cool because the last time I fished the BFL there was 2 or 3 years ago. I got 5th. I caught those fish that tournament on a jackhammer chatterbait. My very first time I was over there, I absolutely smashed them on a certain color drop shot that I figured out while I was there. I'm not going to get into that color, sorry, some things have to stay a secret. But fast forward to that BFL, this is back when FLW, Major League Fishing, did a very good job covering the BFLs. Every BFL, they would interview the winners and ask them, what they used. Really unique that the co-angler that beat me that particular day, I got 5th with 16 pound. I think he had like 19 something. He was throwing a Morning Dawn Robo Worm up there, a bait that I absolutely love to throw on a drop shot, but I'd never tried it on Cayuga. I just thought that was really interesting a couple years ago. But because I did my research and I did my homework and I read up on stuff like that, fast forward 2 or 3 years to this year, when I was starting to pack for this BFL, mostly focused on my punching baits, my jackhammer, as well as a drop shot, I decided to, I'm going to try that Morning Dawn Robo Worm first thing in the morning when it was low light, just to give it a try. Obviously, I'm going to take other stuff with me, stuff I've caught them on in the past, as well as some smallmouth stuff in case I drew a guy that was, going after smallmouth. And the funny thing is, first spot of the day, I caught a 2-pounder, and then I caught a 5-pounder. Then we got off that spot after about an hour of fishing. My boater didn't have any. We ran a couple other spots, and it was pretty dead. I switched to an old Faithful and a different color drop shot bait. And I started catching a lot of fish, but they were between 12 and 14 inches. Probably caught 8 or 9 fish in the next hour and a half. Started getting a lot of bites, but seriously, the biggest fish was like a 15-incher. None of them were even 2 pounds. I decided to try the Morning Dawn Robo Worm again because it did generate the 2 biggest fish I had in the live well at that time, and one was a 5-pounder. And sure enough, I got 1 bite in the next hour, but it was a 2 1/4 pound fish. That one fish was bigger than any of the 8 that I caught on the other color. So I sacrificed getting 8 bites in 90 minutes to only getting 1 bite in 60 minutes, but it was a better bite. So I kept throwing it. Another hour later, I caught a 2 1/4 pound fish, called out another one. So it was slow going. I was able to get bit, but I sacrificed getting a lot of bites for only a few bites, but they were a little better quality. And then in the last half hour of the day, after not catching anything for about 2 hours, I was able to get 1 more bite, and it was another 5-pounder that got me up to 16 pounds, good enough for 3rd place in the BFL. Wish I could have got 1 more 3.5 to 5 pound bite. I would have won the BFL. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case. I think I only lost by like 1.5 pounds. Executed on every bite I got. So that was the BFL, guys. That's also some tips I have for you as far as fishing as a co-angler and maximizing your efficiency. Maximize your efficiency, guys. You will put more fish in the boat, and you will put the odds in your favor when fishing as a co-angler to have an opportunity to win some. So hope you guys learned something. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week. That will be the last CoAngler Diary of the year, probably ever. These videos haven't done real good on YouTube. So if you have been watching, I appreciate you. You definitely don't want to watch next week, because I'm actually going to explain how to win as a co-angler on that episode. So be sure to stay tuned for that. We'll see you there.